earnings?
Well, I think one of the other times I was here, I said, for year one, we're hoping to do 7 figures for year one, 8 figures for year two, 9 figures for year three. We just did 7 figures in one quarter. So I'd say that's a good check mark for the year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not that we're slowing down at all, but I'd say, look, I think we're really progressing nicely. Especially if you consider our first quarter, we did 165,000 in revenue. This quarter, we did over 1.3 million. I'd say that's pretty good growth over the year.
And what do you think? Where do you think this goes from here?
Well, I think that things are. Again, I think things are progressing nicely. We're adding more and more stores every day, so we're in well over 1,000 now. I think in the financials we're in over 20 states, which is great. We landed our first shipment into the UK, and now we're in production for additional shipments. We've got orders coming in from Australia. I'm in some very in-depth negotiations and conversations for distribution in Europe as well. We're getting interest from Central and South America. We're getting interest from the Middle East. We're getting interest from Asia. I mean, look, if you asked me a year ago when I started if this is where I thought we would be, I probably would have called myself crazy. But man, this thing is taking on a life of its own. And I mean, I got to say, like, this isn't sort of par for the course. Like, this isn't normal for a company to start getting this much traction this quickly. So I think it's a real testament to the team, especially because we've all had to do this virtually, right? I've got operations in Las Vegas. I've got, a lot of my capital markets team in Vancouver. I'm in Toronto. We've got sales going on in Europe. We've got, investors in Hong Kong and Asia. Like, it's, sort of this around the clock virtual system that we're running. And the fact that we've been able to pull this together as well as we have, I think, is extraordinary.
Questions. Do you mind if I ask you some?
Yeah, sure.
First and foremost, the German investors want to know when they can expect to get Taat in Germany. Any updates on that?
I think it hopefully will happen soon. We're already in, some active discussions with distributors that are looking at a number of countries in Europe, one of which would absolutely be Germany. Again, we always want to make sure that we're sort of compliant with all of the laws. And, once we launch product in there, we want to make sure that we'll consistently be able to get it in, and that once consumers try and like the product, we're still able to supply them. So I think that we'll have some good news on that front, hopefully soon.
And I know that our German investors have supported Taat. Super investors in Germany.
We're very grateful for them. I mean, all our investors, actually. I think we've developed an actual fan base, which is, really, I don't even know what the word is, humbling. Just how fervent some of the investors are. So again, we appreciate each and every one of you for all of the support you've shown us to date.
Yeah, we've been getting tons of questions. I'm going to just roll through. Are you happy that the IQOS device was banned in the States?
No, I'm not happy because I've got a lot of colleagues at Philip Morris, and I don't like to see a lot of hard work just sort of get derailed because of the intricacies of IP law. Listen, I think the IQOS is a good product. I think it's doing well in Europe, and I think it provides smokers another option that they can use. Now, again, one of the challenges I have with it is that you're still delivering nicotine, which I don't think is a good thing to do, and you're overly reliant on feeding addiction in order to sell your product. That's why I think Taat is the best alternative on the market if you're a smoker. But for my colleagues' sake, no, I'm not happy to see somebody fail. I never really am.
Very good. And has ADCO reordered after their first order?
What we're doing with ADCO, So I know that we announced that we had the revision, right? So we supplied ADCO their initial order. It was a large order. They've gone through a good chunk of it, if not most of it. Now, that was the version 1 product, which I always thought was very good. But given some of the feedback that came back, we wanted to make some improvements, which we did. So the new product, let's call it version 2, that we're going to be aggressively commercializing now, I think is a fundamentally better product than what I originally thought was a good product to start. So we've been able to, let's see, we've been able to enhance the flavor profile so that it'll taste even more so, if not better than a tobacco cigarette. We've amended the burning rate of the cigarette so that you get 7 drags per cigarette, similar to what you would get on a Marlboro. The efficiency and throughput is significantly enhanced. The waste on the original cigarette, I think it was about 25% when you were rolling it. We got it down to less than 1 now. Wow. The color profile is going to match that of cigarettes. Everything from a production and engineering standpoint, I think, is light years ahead of where we were just a few short months ago. And when we originally launched version 1, we wanted to go out, obviously test the market. And like I said right in the beginning, I mean, if you really want to succeed, listen to your consumers and give them what they want. So we got some good feedback. The product was good. There were some improvements that they wanted to make. Like, I'll give you one example. When you burned the original version, the ember wasn't as strong as it could have been in a cigarette. So you'd smoke it and sometimes you'd have to relight it twice or maybe 3 times when you're having a cigarette. Well, that's completely gone now. So it'll burn exactly like a cigarette. So what we wanted to do is make sure that we got that product right. We've got a lot of pallets in production now. And what we'll be doing is making sure that we can sort of give all of our retailers and wholesalers the new product. And then we're going to be aggressively commercializing on that, because I think that is as close to, if not better, a cigarette experience for a smoker than version 1. So once we get that sort of underway, yeah, we'll be stocking all of the shelves with that. You there, Rich?
Sorry, Setti. The next question here is, why is AR so huge? It looks like no one is paying for the Taat shipments. Only 6% of sales have been paid for. Is there a potential for bad debt or product returns?
I wouldn't anticipate that. I think you got to take it into account for when the quarters end and when the reporting comes in. So we had a couple of large orders that we were working on throughout the quarter that came in much closer to Q3 end, and therefore the sales were booked and the product is getting fulfilled throughout. So that's why you see a high AR. Again, like when you're working with large orders, oftentimes, like, it's not just something that somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to buy, 10 skids of your product. I mean, these are long tail negotiations. So you kind of go through the whole thing. The order will come in. And sometimes if that coincides with close to quarter end, it'll get booked as an AR. So those things are getting fulfilled now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for updating us on that. And Paul K says, please don't forget to ask Setti about NASDAQ status and tell Setti that we would love to smoke Taat in Germany. The Germans love Taat.
I would love to come to Germany and smoke Taat with you. And I'm sure that I will be able to do so, hopefully very soon.
I would like to come too. Can I come to Germany too?
Sure. You come along. We'll do a live interview from Germany.
I was actually saying that. I'm Portuguese. I can go to Portugal. They're actually the #1 vaccinated country in the world right now, over 85% vaccination in Portugal. Well, so I said, well, maybe I go to Portugal, then I'll come down to Germany, and we can all just, get a chance to meet some of the investors, because we know there's a huge community of investors in Germany that support Taat and love Taat.
We'll have a Taat convention.
Yeah, I think it would be great. And do you have any updates on the NASDAQ? I know everyone's asking NASDAQ. I know that's a huge catalyst for Taat. Any updates on that, Setti?
look, I mean, it's still sort of going through the process. Like it's almost a bit like a tennis match, right? Like you supply some answers, they'll come back with some more questions. You kind of go back and forth. And again, you got to sort of take it in context with the nature of the industry that we're in. So given that we're a tobacco alternative, everybody just wants to make sure that everything is above board, that the product is otherwise legal, which it is. We have all the legal opinions that say the product is legal. It's one of these things that it's not covered by the Tobacco Act. It's not really covered by any cannabis regulation. So, I mean, if you can imagine 2 tractor trailers that are going down the highway, we found that lane right in the middle, right, where it doesn't really trip on anything. And I think that sometimes gets people to sort of pause for a second and say, okay, wait a minute. Like there's that little space in between, and you found that little space in between. Okay, we got to make sure that space in fact exists. I know it exists. We have all the legal opinions that it exists. And it's really just kind of going through back and forth to make sure that everybody's satisfied. Listen, these things sometimes take some time. It takes.
You know what? I must remind everyone, Taat's only been public for a year and a bit, guys. So it's not like they've been public for 5-10 years. I mean, this is a company that's still in its infancy stages. It's still really in its first inning. I know Setti says that all the time, and I say it all the time. It's a company that's been public since June of 2020. So to get listed on the NASDAQ in a year and a few months is incredible in itself. And the fact that the stock is trading today 900% since IPO day is incredible in itself when you consider the fact that the revenue is just starting to roll in and you guys just had another record-breaking quarter. So quarter over quarter revenue growth is always the biggest catalyst for a stock. And you guys are definitely doing that. So I wanted to congratulate you on that. We also had a question. Can we buy the new Recon packs on the website right now?
Not yet. We've got a large batch of Recon in the process of getting manufactured now. So the initial run we wanted to send out and get some testing on. So we sent it out throughout wholesalers, retailers, distributors in the US. We sent it out to some key people to make sure that it wasn't, that it's not just me that says, hey, I think it's pretty good. It's the opinion of one, right? You want to make sure that you get enough feedback. We also sent it off to Europe to a number of wholesalers, distributors, retailers, potential consumers. And I mean, the response was overwhelmingly positive, especially when they would compare it to what V1 was. I mean, everybody was, hey, V1's pretty good, right? They tried V2 and they're like, if I didn't know this was a cigarette, I wouldn't know it's not if I didn't know this wasn't tobacco, I wouldn't know it's not tobacco. Right. So we wanted to make sure that we got that appropriate feedback. And on the back of that, now we've been able to start really advancing a lot of the distribution discussions throughout Europe, which is a key focus for me. Not to say that the US isn't a big focus. It really is. But we've got a great team down in the US that's really actioning on a lot of the plans that we have down there. But we really want to start aggressively opening up new markets throughout the world. And we use that first batch to just kind of test the temperature and get the appetite, and it was really high. So we're producing a lot over the next month and a half.
Yeah, I think you guys are ramping up, right? New facilities, revenue growth is coming in, new countries coming online. Yeah. And guys, and we've talked about this, like it takes time to get into every single gas station, convenience store, and point of sale in the world, which is what Setti's trying to do. I know this man never sleeps. He's always on the go. I mean, how often do you see a CEO working in a booth? Setti works the booths, guys. I mean, this is a man who works hard. And I'll be honest with you, I've sat down with Setti and I've asked him for packs of Taat. And you know what he says to me? He'll tell you. He's like, guys, these things go like hotcakes. I don't got any. Isn't that the best review for a product though? When you just can't keep them on you because everybody wants them. Is that true?
Yeah. Oh no, it's true. I'm on back order to get them from Vegas so that we can get some samples out to some people here. So I mean, if I'm getting pushed,
I'm not kidding, guys. Like I'll sit down with Setti and he doesn't have any Taat because he's like, guys, I get 10 a day or whatever, and they're gone. Like he's just putting them in hands, and people are like, I want more. That's when you know you have a product that people want. It's not just marketing. Some companies, they do a very good job of marketing. This is a company that has a very good product and also has a strong team and is doing a great job of marketing as well. So when you think about the potential, really, like, are we even at 1% of what we're capable of? Probably not, because
Not even close.
We're talking about like 100 plus countries, in the future that will want this product. I can't even imagine what it's going to look like at that point in time, but it's exciting that we're able to.
A little different than it looks like now. I'll tell you.
Yeah, a lot bigger than what it looks like right now.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And you got to remember too, right? I mean, for us, like one of the key differences for us and say somebody like a Philip Morris or an Altria, right? Yeah. Philip Morris or an Altria will launch a new cigarette brand and they already have the distribution in place. They can get it in every store worldwide within a matter of a month. We're building all that from scratch, right? So it's a lot of pushing the boulder up the hill to start. But once you build out that infrastructure, we can easily launch new brands, right? Philip Morris is more than Marlboro. They've got like 100 and some odd different brands of cigarettes that cater to different demographics and different consumer types, different flavor profiles. We can do all of that. But to start, you want to be able to take a product, get it out into the distribution channel, show that consumers like the product, that it sells. And I think we're doing that. And then once that's built, there's no shortage of additional opportunities that we have. So it's not like you're going to commercialize Taat and then, all right, see you later. The future is endless.
Yes, it's incredible.
Right? Like we're at the point now where we're building that whole route to market pipeline, brick by brick. And the fact that we've gotten in over 1,000 stores this quickly, I think is extraordinary. And by the time the product actually starts getting into stores in the UK, which is imminent, we'll surpass that easily. And you start looking at global footprint. Like we're actually building a global footprint.
It's just so you know, Setti, I wanted to let you know that you're doing a phenomenal job, by the way.
Rich.
You probably don't hear that enough. I just want you to know you are doing a phenomenal job. Okay. I hear so much from so many different companies and different investors, and sometimes they get angry with CEOs. Everybody's happy with you because they know that you're working hard and you're doing the right things. And that's why you see so much support for Taat, because people know that everything is falling in line. Everyone's working really hard. And, here we are Monday morning, and here you are telling the story, right? This is what it takes to build a successful company, and you're doing a great job. So I wanted to just, say thank you, because when you do a good job, Setti, it makes my job easy. And we got a community of investors. We want to find winning picks. You do a great job explaining to the investors what's going on, keeping everybody up to date so investors can feel comfortable. Now, one of the questions that I have here is, and I know the answer, but I want you to answer it because you've told me this yourself. Do you expect that the growth curve for Taat will be similar to Juul and RLX? 1.3 million is a great quarterly revenue, but do you think that the curve will be similar to those comparison companies?
I think it can be easily, because Juul wasn't really looking at international opportunities, I think, until midway through their second year. I mean, we're already there now. So, I mean, we're trying to fight a lot of different fronts, but it's because the demand is coming in. And again, I think a lot of it also has to do with the sort of investor base that we have, because we'll get, investors that'll call us and say, hey, I know this person, I know that person. Hey, I can put you in touch over here. Like, we're getting a lot of great help from our investor community, which again, I'm so thankful for. And that's what started to open up a lot of these global opportunities, because distributors will start to see it. Wholesalers will start to see it. They're like, well, wait a minute. I heard about it through this person, or I saw your video over here, or I saw this over there. What is this product? And then we'll send them some samples. Holy cow, this is actually really good. I think this will sell well. And then from there, the discussions start coming in. The fact that we've got a master distributor for the UK and Australia already is amazing. So I honestly think that the growth curve can absolutely hit that. Because even if you take a look at RLX, I think RLX initially started in China, and then they went, I believe, to Scandinavia and Canada and the US. We started in the US. We're already in the UK. We'll be getting product out to Australia. I think we'll have a good chunk of Europe over the next 6 to 12 months. Again, it really is one of those industries where the math always works in your favor, right? You could be in 100,000 stores, they'll sell a pack a week, which is really nothing. You're selling 100,000 packs a week, right? Now, I think we'll do better than selling a pack a week. I mean, you get the point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, all of the sort of parties that we're getting introduced to now that we're in these discussions with, we're not talking about, hey, I've got, 50 stores, I got 100 stores. We're talking to people, okay, I got 50,000 stores over here. We service 100,000 stores over there. We service 250,000 stores over here. It's like, holy crap. Okay, let's get these deals done. And again, it's one of those things that takes a bit of time, but I'd say that we're running pretty quick.
I think so. How long have you been the CEO? When did you become officially the CEO? Has it been a year now?
August 3rd.
Yeah, so you've been the CEO for about 14 months.
14
almost
months
to the date.
Yeah.
So 14 months. So guys, Setti's been the CEO for 14 months. Think about that. They've created a lot of success already. And I think that, the sky's the limit.
We didn't have a product for the first 5 months of it.
I know. I remember when we sat down and we were learning about it for the first time. And I thought, if this works, this could be huge. And now it's working. People like it. It's being sold. You guys have revenue. So it went from a great idea to now it's a great product. And now you guys are talking about global expansion and distribution. I mean, guys, like Setti said this, the goal is a 5 billion market cap. And do you know what your market cap is right now? Offhand? 350 million market cap, and the goal is a 5 billion market cap. So even from today's levels, the goal for the company is to grow another 10 to 15x. So there's still a long way to go, guys. And I think that bodes well for investors.
Well, look at it this way. When I started, I think the market cap was under 60 mil.
There you go. So the market cap has grown 500% since you've been the CEO. And once again, that is the best indication of how you're doing your job. Because in my opinion, I say this all the time, for shareholders, the biggest thing that shareholders are looking for from CEOs is that the CEO is working hard to help build shareholder equity and create shareholder value. And clearly you've done that with the stock up and the market cap up 500% since you've come on as CEO. So the numbers are always there. It's always about numbers. And I'm a numbers guy, and numbers don't lie, but people do. And in this instance, the numbers are spectacular. Now, do you have an update on the patents?
Yeah. We've got a lot of trademarks that are filed, patents in process. We've added some additional IP now for V2. I think we're building a very robust portfolio of IP. And again, these are the things that help build a moat around your brand, because you can do a whole lot of work building the brand, but then if it's easily knocked off, and you got a bit of a problem. So I think, taking that approach where whenever we come up with innovation, we try to build IP around it and then do the work to help build the brand gives us a lot of that protection. So, it's something that I've always kind of have an eye towards. Like we were just on a management call half an hour ago, and that was the last question I asked to our IP lawyer. Okay, we're doing some of these improvements. We need IP filed on this, that, and the other thing. Yep. Okay, we're on it.
Very good. Thank you. Guys, I know you guys are asking me a lot of questions. Some of these questions have been asked many times. I'm not going to go over all the same questions. I'm going to try to choose the best ones. So please give us your questions, and I'm just going to try to choose the best ones that I haven't asked Setti before. And I don't want to get some of the same answers that we don't have answers to yet. Any update on the Texas 1.25 million deal from a few months ago? Is it getting fulfilled now?
Yeah, we're in the process with that now. What you got to understand about that one of the requirements of the NASDAQ is that you don't sell product in jurisdictions where the product isn't legal. Now, Texas was a market that was still in the gray. So because we're in an application process with the NASDAQ, we still had to sort of tread a bit carefully on that one, because I can't sell product in a market where it isn't legal to sell a product. There are a couple of states where it's not legal to sell the product. So we're not going to sell it there. Now, there was I think that was overturned about a couple of weeks ago. So we just want to make sure that all that's in place. And then we'll be able to you'll start seeing Taat show up in Texas. But again, like sometimes you just have to tread carefully. Like you can't, what's the saying? Somebody told me this once and I always loved it. Like don't step over $1 to pick up a dime.
Absolutely. I love that saying. I have a question from Torsten in Germany. We would like to know when and where exactly you can buy cigarettes in the UK. Do we have like an area or zone and a timeline yet for the UK?
I should have some more updates on that in the next week or so. The product, the initial shipment just passed through customs, I want to say Friday afternoon, my time. So it just got to the distributor now. So again, there was some back and forth with the regulators in the UK to make sure that the product was compliant. And it is. So I think for a lot of wholesalers and distributors, especially in Europe, they just wanted to see, okay, it all sounds great, but can you actually get more than sample product across a border and into a market? Yes, we can. And we just did that. And now we can show people that we can make the product, we can ship it, we can have it clear customs, it can land in the appropriate distributor's hands, and now it's on them and they'll get the product out. So we should have some updates on where that's going to be landing soon.
So technology is moving at a crazy pace. Cryptocurrencies are really big right now. We have a question. Do you think that we could buy Taat with cryptos in the future, in the next 10 years? Is that something you guys are thinking about or even looked into?
I don't see why not. And it's not something that I would.
Like, would you guys accept Bitcoin as a form of purchase? How like some companies are taking Bitcoin as payment? Is that something you guys could think of or try?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's something that we can definitely take a look at. I mean, I think crypto is something that I think will become a lot more mainstream over time. And I think will become a de facto currency that people will accept. I think what remains to be seen is whether people will use it from a transactional standpoint or whether people will use it from a store of wealth standpoint. Like nobody's walking into a store shaving off bars of gold and saying, okay, I'm going to pay you with, a fraction of an ounce of gold dust. So I think that's something that we would take a look at down the road for sure.
Wow. Okay, great. See, I did not even know that. So that's cool. That's super cool. Do you know what the reorder rate is right now in shops? Do you have those statistics yet?
It's still early. We are starting to see a lot of reorders through most shops. Again, it becomes an exercise first in getting the product placed, then starting to build awareness around the consumers within those areas. Like, for instance, if I have Taat across the street from me, I'm not driving halfway across the city to go buy a pack of cigarettes, right? So you're going to want to concentrate a lot of the marketing effort around the areas where the brick and mortar is. So we are starting to build that awareness, get people into the stores. They're starting to buy the product. They're coming in on a repeat. And then it becomes an exercise in increasing velocity, so the speed of turnover. But we have seen a number of stores that they'll be selling a carton a week, a carton every 2 weeks. So there is turnover there. And I think, again, we wanted to make sure that when we really went far and wide, we went out with version 2, because I do think that the version 2 is fundamentally better than the version 1. And again, I'm not saying version 1 wasn't good. I just think that, I mean, if you take a look at iPhone, like the iPhone today, I'd say is better than the iPhone 1, right?
Absolutely.
The iPhone 1 was bad. The iPhone 1 was great when it came out, but you have continuous improvement. And I think that we've gone leaps and bounds on continuous improvement in a very short period of time. And now I think we've got a product that is amazingly good. That's the one that we're going to be hitting hard.
When I started the stream, I actually had, I think it was one of our members here, I think he was from Germany, said that he switched to Taat, and ever since he switched to Taat, he quit smoking. Do you have any, and this is a great question from CC, do you have any anecdotal stories or any studies underway for people who switch to Taat and stay switched and maybe even quit smoking altogether?
Look, we've gotten a lot of email. We've actually gotten some handwritten notes from consumers who've tried the product saying exactly that. Like, they think this product is going to change their life because they now have the freedom to, smoke if and when they want to. They feel a lot better. They just enjoy consuming Taat more than they would a cigarette. So I think as we start getting this product out to more and more smokers, we'll be getting a lot more of that feedback. Like,
fantastic.
The initial stuff that we've gotten, I mean, some of the stuff is really just, it's nice to hear, right? You've got a product that's actually making a difference in their lives for something that's important for them. And again, that's why, we designed this product for smokers. I'm not trying to get people who don't smoke to start smoking, but for the 1.5 billion people that do smoke, I think that this is a much better product for them than anything else that's on the market.
It's funny because I had a friend of mine who was a smoker, and I actually have a video on YouTube with him testing the product. And this was when it just came out. And I remember when he had his first one, he's like, oh, it's kind of like a native cigarette. It's light. And then I said, here, take the pack, smoke the whole pack, and then tell me how you feel. He smoked the whole pack. At the end of it, he's like, I want a carton. I'm like, well, we're in Canada. We can't get a carton. To this day, he's like, I need some Taat. When can I get some Taat? Like, there's something special with this when you got real smokers who try it and then come back and say, I want it. I need it. There's something different with
I get those calls too.
Yeah, and I'm being real, because this is a guy who smokes 1 to 2 packs a day, and he's always like, he's a really good friend of mine, and he's like, when are we going to get Taat in Canada? He wants them so bad, and he's like, as soon as we get it, that's all I'm going to smoke. That's, first of all, it's cheaper, it's healthier, right? No tobacco, no nicotine. So there's so many reasons why real smokers like this product. This isn't a product that's just doing well because of branding or advertising or social influence or because it's a stock. No, this is a product that people actually like. They enjoy it. Some of them love it and they can't get enough of it. And like I said earlier on, one of the members here said that he started smoking these Taat and it's actually helped him quit smoking altogether.
Amazing.
That alone is huge.
Yeah.
That angle of, hey, not only is this cheaper, it's got no tobacco, no nicotine, but you could potentially quit smoking. And we don't know what the percentages of people are, but I'm sure over the next few years, you'll have some stats on that as well. Yeah, people that have been smoking Taat for X amount of time, 2% or 5% or 10% quit altogether. That alone could be huge for Taat and branding when you can get some of those statistics. But obviously, we're too early to be able to know those numbers.
Yeah, listen, I think it's still very early days, both from, a commercialization standpoint and a consumer feedback standpoint. The fact that we're actually getting some of that testimonial in now, again, I think is very encouraging. But in my mind, I think that just continues to snowball day after day and month after month and year after year. I don't know how many times I can say it. I do think that this is the best product for smokers on the market. And if you are a smoker, I highly suggest you try this product and see how it works for you. I mean, don't take my word for it. Try it. That's the only thing I want you to take my word on. Try it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. We'll even give it to you for free.
I love that.
You go online, go to Try Taat. We just relaunched our website. It's got a whole new user interface, and it's right front and center. If you want to try the product, I will give it to you for free. That's how much I believe in it.
No, I love that. I have a question here from Krill. What are Setti's views on cash flow management? Raising funds more likely to be from investors. I know you guys are working Horizon Ventures, or could debt also be an option? I know you guys have stayed away from debt funding. Anything you want to talk about in regards to that question?
Look, from a cash management standpoint, I mean, the revenue is starting to come in now, which I think is good. I mean, to put it in context, you take a look at Juul. I mean, with Altria's investment, Juul raised $20 billion.
That's a lot.
How much money they raised? Now, I don't think we need to raise 20 billion or anywhere close to it, but I think our cash is in a good place right now. I think we've done a good job of spending the money wisely. And again, I mean, we're trying to create a worldwide brand. And I think we've been doing that. Again, we've got, between the UK, Ireland, Australia, the US, those are, we're talking about countries at this point. We're not talking about, towns.
You guys have come a long way, Setti. I remember, when it was Ohio, and now we're talking countries. So, and we're still just talking about a handful of countries. So there's still so much.
A handful of countries with initial orders.
That's right. Like
they're big and meaningful from the standpoint of the age and stage of the company.
That's right.
From the perspective of the market, these are just initial, hey, okay, we're going to sprinkle the product out. But I really believe that these things are just going to continue to accelerate. That's
right. And as more people find out about it, I mean, Brazil, China, India, we're talking about some big markets. If you get into those big markets, the revenue would be just mind-boggling.
Yep.
Great question here from Marseille. Setti, is Philip Morris calling and saying they are regretting letting you go?
I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, man. And okay, let's go here. Can Setti comment on the likelihood of getting one of the national U.S. retailer chains under their belt? Are you working on any other big distribution in the U.S.?
Yeah, we are.
Great.
I think we're in good discussions with a lot of them. I'm actually heading down to Chicago tomorrow for NACS, which is the largest convenience store trade show in America. And I mean, we're in the same room where Philip Morris or where Altria sets up, where British American sets up, where JTI sets up. So this is where you get a lot of the national chains coming through to take a look at, what innovations and improvements the existing companies have and what might be an interesting addition to their portfolio of products for the coming year. So it's an important show for us. I think we've got a tremendous presence built out, and we hope to have some really great conversations with a lot of these retailers when we're there. And it's a great spot to introduce the product to them because they're already there and open to the idea. And I think once they're able to see it, feel it, touch it, and really understand what the product is, how it can work, and how it can benefit them as a company, I think we'll have hopefully some good news on that front thereafter.
I mean, why wouldn't a retailer want to hold this product? It's cheaper, it's better
margin. We got
better margins.
We're making on tobacco.
Healthier. It's providing people the opportunity to potentially quit smoking altogether. So why wouldn't everybody want to hold this product? I mean, that's how business works, right? Everybody wants the hottest product so that they can get more sales for themselves. So it just makes a lot of sense. I know that we asked about this, but we've been live for about 40 minutes. Some people might have missed that. We have 117 people watching. If there is any news from your side regarding the Q3 figures, are there any news or anything you want to say about the revenues other than what was being published on CEDAR?
Well, look, I think I've been able to provide a lot more color during this call, and I'm sure we'll have a couple of more questions that we can go through. But again, I think that the numbers do sort of speak for themselves. Like I said, that we would continue the growth. We're absolutely doing that. I think that, Q4 will be as strong, if not better. Actually, I don't think it will. Well, listen, there's only so much I can really say. So, yeah.
I think the way you guys are trending, we can almost anticipate that it will be better because you guys are growing, right? So, right. I mean, you can't guarantee it.
Not me.
I'll say it, that I think that Taat's revenues are going to continue to grow quarter over quarter. because you guys are expanding and growing quarter over quarter. You're getting into new markets quarter over quarter. You guys are doing more marketing, more advertising, more branding, going into new countries, new cities, new states, new stores, 1,000 locations. It's a numbers game, and the numbers are growing. So you'd have to assume the revenue will also grow.
I think that would be a fair assessment.
I have a question here from DMM. For merchandising in Europe, Taat should look at sports like soccer, Premier League in England, for example. CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo with Taat. Boom. Let's go Taat. Hey, Cristiano Ronaldo as a sponsor for Taat, that would be big.
Listen, I think it would be tremendous, but you also have to remember he doesn't even drink Coke.
Yeah, and I know he doesn't like cigarettes, so I don't.
He doesn't like Coke.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be probably a little bit of a push.
That one might be a bit tough, but yes. As we start expanding throughout Europe, we'll definitely take a look at sponsorship opportunities that would either be more localized to the markets that we're in or more global in nature that cover a lot of different markets.
Fantastic. Now, for some of the investors that are saying that they've gone on the website, they've ordered a free pack of Taat in New York, but they haven't received their pack, what I would suggest you guys do is just email me at richtvlive@gmail.com or richpicksdaily@gmail.com. I will forward that over to Setti and the team at Taat and make sure that you guys get what you're supposed to get. Okay. Yeah. Could US loyal investors get a sample pack of the new Recon pack? That would be really cool. Is that something that's possible?
In the US, yes. I think, again, we've got commercial scale production on the Recon happening now.
Great.
So we hope to have that product in our warehouses in the coming weeks.
Wow. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
How about Taat?
And then it'll be, and then that'll sort of be the transition from what's V1 to V2, because from that point on, it's all V2.
How about Taat at the Super Bowl?
I think that is awesome.
Right? That would be so huge. And I think you guys are doing a great job with your advertising, your branding, doing the boxing events. I think it's great. Totally outside the box thinking. And I think you guys are definitely proven that you're willing to try new things. And I think that gets investors excited.
And I think we'll have some cool new stuff to share in the next little bit.
Nice. Janet is asking, I told my doctor about Taat and he's excited about it and hopes it comes to Canada because he said he would recommend it to his patients because he understood the mouth to hand thing.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. And just a couple more questions. Involvement plus progress with Crossmark and anything with 7-Eleven in the future.
Yeah, listen, I mean, we're talking to the large retailers, and I think, again, going to shows like NACS get us in front of a lot of those buyers and senior management people at those companies. So the trade show circuit will become an important channel for us going forward. Like we've only done a handful of them this year, just because by the time we got the product to the point where I thought it was worthwhile to start doing those shows, there's a season to them. And NACS typically is the tail end of it, sort of ends with a bang. But then it kicks up again in January. And I think for 2022, we're likely going to be at, okay, I don't want to say all of them, but most of them. And I think, again, that just helps with the continued growth. I mean, we've got a lot of orders from the previous shows that we're in the process now of fulfilling. And that also opens up conversations and discussions with sort of ancillary wholesalers and distributors in that same market. Because oftentimes what ends up happening is you get one person that starts to carry it, then their competitors start hearing about it. They call, it's like, hey, wait a minute, Rich is carrying it. I want to carry it too. Okay. And then you start getting the order. So there's a lot of halo effect that happens when you start participating in these shows and booking orders, which is what we're doing. So I think going forward, that'll be a key channel for us, especially in the US. And yeah, I mean, everything else I think is working well. Again, like we wanted to get the product to a point where I think it was ready for large scale distribution, both from a production efficiency standpoint, from a consumer experience standpoint, from a packaging standpoint, a lot of these things. And I think I've used this analogy before. I mean, like this whole experience from when I started is kind of like building the plane while you're flying it, right?
Yeah.
And I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping the plane in the air.
Yeah.
Now I think we're at the point where it's really going to start to take off.
I agree.
Because we've got, the production efficiency in line. We've got the consumer experience, I think, on lock. We've got, packaging ready to go. We're bringing on even more secondary manufacturers that'll sort of help us expand on the production side. I think we're really set up for the anticipated growth that I would otherwise expect given our stage for 2022.
I love it. If there was one thing you could talk to or let shareholders and potential shareholders that are watching from all over the world know about Taat today, before we say goodbye, what would it be?
I honestly think it's the company has gone through a very aggressive growth cycle. And we're just breaking through that now. I mean, the amount of opportunity that is in front of us is staggering. And we wanted to make sure that we had all of the pieces in place so that when these opportunities come, we can say yes. And I think that where we are right now, when these opportunities come, and they're coming, we'll be in a very good position to say yes and keep saying yes and fulfill this demand as we start growing globally.
Thank you, Setti Coscalella, the CEO of Taat Global Alternatives, for joining us again today.
Rich, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Guys, if you like these videos, smash the like button, comment down below, share the video everywhere, and subscribe. And remember, Rich TV Live is strictly for information and education purposes. Please do your due diligence, do your research before you invest in anything that we talk about or discuss here on Rich TV Live. In saying that, Taat has always been one of my favorite picks since day one. It's trading at about 900% higher than it was day one. So that's pretty good for investors. But I do believe that this is just the first inning. And I know Setti said it himself. This is just the first inning for a company that is growing in revenue, growing in distribution, growing in awareness, growing in investors. And I believe that this is a company that will one day be a global powerhouse. And for investors, this is an opportunity to get in for the win before they are literally in every single convenience store, gas station, and retailer in the world. Like, I can't wait for the day that I could literally just go anywhere and just say, hey, can I get a pack of Taat? And they'll be like, yeah, here you go, sir. Like, we're not there yet, but imagine where the stock will trade when it is there. I would assume it's going to be trading at least 10 times where it is today. So great opportunity for investors. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Setti Coscalella, for joining us. And I know you're busy. Go get back to work. I know you're always working. And thank you for joining us on the show today, Setti.
Thanks, Rich. I'll see y'all later.
See everybody. Have a nice day. Put Taat on your radar. TAAT in Canada, TOBAF in America, 2TP in Frankfurt, Germany. If you're not winning, you're not watching. We bring you the winners and we bring them to you first. Have a nice day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.